I just watched this video right here. It's from 208 Tyler. Great video. I highly recommend you watch it. But I watched it and I was pretty taken back by it because I agree. Overlanding as a hobby is a scam. The reason why I kind of want to talk about this topic as well is I made a video about this, I think about a year ago, where I was talking about overlanding as a hobby and how to get into it. And basically, Tyler and I had the same opinion in our videos. His was much later and his was much more blunt than mine, but the whole point is that you don't need a $40,000 truck with $20,000 worth of equipment to get out there and enjoy the hobby. Realistically, overlanding is just car camping, as Tyler mentioned in the video and as I've said in the past as well. And the whole reason why I personally got into overlanding, because it is a little bit contradictory of me to sit here and say this while I got a truck like this behind me, but the reason why I got into overlanding was a little bit different than I think most people. If you're new to this channel or if you've been here for a while, I'll give you some backstory again, but I built this truck behind me not as a go out every weekend or every month or so and take pictures on Instagram and show my truck off. My wife and I, had a goal of living out of this truck full time. And we did that for 7 months. We lived in this rooftop tent here and traveled the East Coast. And originally I really wanted to explore the whole country, the whole United States. Well, it didn't work out that way. It was just a little bit too rough on my wife and I and my dog to do this full time. Winter was coming and we ended up buying a house. So the truck now is the Weekend Warrior Overland truck that you are used to seeing on Instagram and in other people's videos. But originally this truck was not built to do that. And the reason why I want to highlight that is because a lot of people will see overlanding or see somebody car camping and think they need a bunch of gear to get out and do it. When realistically, you can sleep in the back of a Subaru, in the back of any, preferably all-wheel drive, but to be honest, sometimes you can get by with front-wheel drive as well on some of the roads that people are camping on. But all-wheel drive, a ground tent, realistically, it's just camping, but with a tent up there. It's really nothing different, depending on how you're overlanding. Now, me on the East Coast, I live in Pennsylvania, there isn't much overlanding. So if I'm gonna be overlanding in PA, it's basically just camping and I don't ever use this gear. When it becomes useful is when I go out for trips that are doing other hobbies. So originally, when I bought this truck, I bought it to haul my mountain bikes around, and then I slowly got more involved with this outdoor hobby I was like, oh, I could load up my mountain bikes, go to an area, camp out there in my truck, and then unload my bikes for a weekend and just bike in that area and then move on. So that's the whole reason why I even bought this truck in the first place. And it wasn't to build an overland rig. It just slowly turned into me living into it. It's a whole thing, right? It snowballed very quickly, and now here I am with this overbuilt truck, and people kind of think I'm a tool bag because of it. And that's all right. I had a blast building this truck with you guys. My dad and I built together. We shared those moments on the channel and it was a good time. So I don't regret building this truck and I still love it, and it's a pretty sick truck. But my point is, you don't have to have this gear to get out and overland. For example, around PA and around on the East Coast, they sell these purple lizard maps. You can check them out. I'll link them down in the description. Not affiliated at all, but I own a bunch of them. And when I originally started getting into this hobby, my wife and I would buy these maps, and they have little purple lizards on the maps in these areas, and they show a point of interest. And it was a really fun time for us to go down in the West Virginia, drive around these back roads and check out these point of interest. And that's really what overlanding is, and you don't get that in some areas. So before you even think about overlanding, check out your area and kind of get your what's the word I'm looking for? Get your expectations set right. Because when I wanted to overland, I wanted to go to the crazy mountains, and I did that, but I had to drive really far, which isn't accessible for some people. So if you're thinking you're gonna go out on a weekend trip, see some crazy mountains, definitely think about your area before you get your hopes up. But also that gives you an expectation of what you need to have on your vehicle, and if you even need to really prepare that much. When we explore those purple lizard maps, it's really just forest service roads. There's nothing too crazy on the East Coast unless you get down towards the Blue Ridge Mountains down in North Carolina, and then it gets pretty neat. But other than that, you're kind of on Forest Service road, so you don't really need anything too built. Off that tangent a little bit there, my point is I'm trying to make is if you're on the fence about overlanding and you want to get in it, but you think you need this gear because this guy has it and he says you need it before you do that, you don't. If you think you need a water port that costs $500 on the top of your truck so you can take a shower on one weekend when you go out, you don't. Go out and enjoy it. See if you even like it. You can hop into any vehicle you have, mostly, unless you have some kind of slammed BMW like I had before my truck. But you can hop in any vehicle if you got like all-wheel drive with some good ground clearance and just drive on these Forest Service roads, check it out, sleep in your car on the side of the road and see if it's for you. Another thing that you should know, and what is kind of scammy, is us social media influencers really make it nicer looking than what it actually is. You'll see some of my videos where I look like I'm deep in the wilderness, and that really doesn't exist in PA. I'm usually off a Forest Service road, most likely, and you don't see it on the camera because the camera is only going to show you the best moments. I can promise you that. But sometimes, like when we were down in North Carolina in these amazing camp spots, they were pretty close to these dirt roads and people were flying by, especially on a busy weekend. So if you think you're going to get out there and be in these remote areas, a lot of people are into this hobby, or at least in the wilderness, and you're going to see people out there. So also lower your expectations in that regard as well, because it is popular, it is busy out there. So if you think you're going to go out here because you saw so-and-so on Instagram and it looked like he was in 1,000 acres all by himself, probably just a snapshot. He probably saw a lot of people when he was out there. And another point Tyler made in this video, and I really agreed with him, is he said that overlanding doesn't stand very well as a hobby by itself. Basically, the whole premise of his video is overlanding isn't a hobby. You need other things to go along with it. I agree a lot with that, but I wouldn't say 100%. I do like to explore new areas. That's kind of the whole point of overlanding, is driving to a new area and checking out. Like, for example, when I was telling you about those purple lizards, the whole point was looking at this map, going to a POI, point of interest, and looking at it and being, oh, that's cool, traveling to the next spot. Maybe it's a hike, going for a hike, but that's the point, going for a hike. Or in my case, sometimes it would be going to a mountain bike trail. Overlanding becomes a lot more fun when you're doing other things. Maybe you're driving to a fishing spot. Maybe you're meeting up with friends in the woods. You all pick some coordinates down on a map and you said, hey, let's meet here tonight, see who gets there first. We're gonna camp out. That's fun. But if you're just going out with maybe you and your wife, or maybe just by yourself, and you're going to the same spot every time, that's not overlanding, that's camping. And it does get boring, and that's kind of where I'm stuck at right now. I need to travel further to get that same feeling of exploration and fun out of this overlanding hobby. But when I want to go overlanding, I'm usually doing other things as well. May that be entertaining myself by making an entertaining video for you guys, or at least attempting to, or going mountain biking or fishing or hiking. It's never just I'm going out overlanding, this is what I'm doing. I don't do that. So that's kind of the point Tyler was making in his video as well, was overlanding doesn't stand very well on a hobby by itself. You see all these guys going out driving in their very expensive rigs, and they make it seem like that's the whole hobby. But doing that for every weekend for a summer, you're gonna get very bored very quickly. It becomes very monotonous, especially if you're in the same area. Trust me, take it from somebody who lived in his truck for 7 months and traveled and basically overland every day. It does get a little bit tiresome and boring if you're only doing that. Well, thank you for listening to me rant. As always, I know you guys enjoy listening to me rant. Let me know down in the comments, guys, if you agree with me, or if you think overlanding is a great hobby, not a waste of money at all, and you need all the gear in the world to go out and hit a Forest Service road. I don't know. To me personally, really not necessary. You do look cool, but as of lately, I've been just driving mine to the mall parking lot. I do actually have a plan to go down to West Virginia here pretty soon. I do have another one of those purple maps that I bought last year that I never even explored the area. So I'm gonna pick a nice weekend. We're gonna go. I'm gonna bring Ashley with me. I don't know if we're gonna take the bikes because they do get annoying to take off. I think I'm just gonna focus on checking out these POIs, doing a little bit of camping, overlanding. I want to check some stuff out, and I'll take you guys with me as always. So that's gonna be in the future overlanding video. But tangents aside, I do believe overlanding is a scam. You guys can do it without the gear. If you think you can't, just do it, man. It's fun. It is fun to get out there and get in nature, but expectations need to be set, and you need to realize the things you see on Instagram and the things you see in my videos or so-and-so's videos, they're highlights. That's not what you think it is. So definitely have your expectations set low, and definitely get out there and check it out before you spend a lot of money. And don't think you need all these things. You need water, you need some food, and some place to sleep. Heck, my first overlanding trip was my buddy and I. We went out to a mountain bike park, and completely unprepared. We drove 4 hours. He drove, I rode. He had a Nissan Frontier, bone stock. I mean, he might have had wheels on it and a cap. And completely unprepared in an area we didn't know about. We were wanting a mountain bike, and we showed up at the mountain bike park trying to camp, and they kicked us out of the parking lot and said, there's no camping, you cannot park here overnight. So we were like, what do we do? We ended up driving to a trailhead for hiking, and we both slept in the front seat. And then the next night we actually bought a campsite at the park, and I slept in the cap of it because it got a little stuffy with 2 dudes in the front seat of a Nissan. A little weird. But that's the thing, like those are the memories that I think of when I'm overlanding. That was my first overlanding trip. Was unprepared, goofy, nothing special, just a vehicle and doing a hobby. So that was based off of mountain biking, and that was kind of my first experience overlanding. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video rant. Probably not that entertaining, but I just wanted to give my opinion on this, and I agree with you. So do me a big favor, check out Tyler's channel. I'll link it down in the description. I'll post it somewhere. Awesome creator. He's doing some cool stuff with his truck, and I love the old style trucks. Makes me a little bit jealous. I wish I'm going to get my hands on an old truck. But thank you for watching. As always, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. It means a ton to me. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers, and we are almost there. I will see you later.